Gucci twist. You don't
The
know about
Gucci
these?
twist?
Yeah, these are the Gucci twist. These are $500 glasses right here.
No, they're
just
not.
the frames.
No, they're
Just
like
the
$10.
frames.
Take your
lenses?
glasses off. Let me see your nose. Show us your nose. Yeah, it looks terrible.
Show us your nose.
Look at that.
Those are imprints of the gods.
No.
The
What?
gods.
What?
This is real. It was one of the Roman Greek gods.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, welcome to the Everything and Nothing Show. I'm just one of your hostess with the mostest, a man who's wrestled alligators, who's tussled with whales, who's handcuffed lightning and put thunder in jail.
Can't be
Just
true.
last week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, and hospitalized a brick. Boy, I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. I'll get to that and why that's important in a minute.
I'm gonna start making up my own. That's like that to be. Hold on, Clay. No, this is my turn.
I'm not. Look, this will all make sense in a minute. Clayton Kisko. I totally screwed up, but Clayton Kisko. I'm accompanied, of course, by the rest of the Maelstrom Gamers.
That's
With us
right.
on this podcast today, we have the A Train, Mr. T House, Alan Turner.
House. Third eye. That was a third eye symbol. That was like Illuminati shit. From
Very
me to
cool.
you.
Next up, we have a man who's too hot to freeze and too cool to melt. The
That doesn't-
heartthrob, Rocco
The
Avellino.
guy that like wrestles gorillas and rides dragons and drinks
you
at
were gonna say
10:30 in the
giraffes.
morning. The most amazing man in the world.
Yeah.
Rocco Avellino.
Hey, viewers, it's a Bud Light Lime, though. So
Yeah. So
Yeah, because I'm
shame him
prepping for the tropical-
uncontrollably.
Themed weekend I'm about to have.
Dude, that Bud Light Lime tastes.
Bud Light Lime.
It tastes
Dude.
like Apple Jacks. It's so nasty.
You guys,
It's bad.
don't hate on my drinks. They
We're gonna
taste
have the bad boy on in just a second. I'll introduce him there when he
Yeah.
gets here. But for those of you just joining us for the very first time, or maybe you have forgotten, the format of the show is very simple. Us Maelstrom Gamers, we hop on a Skype every week. We each bring a topic. There's 5 total for our discussion, but more importantly, for your entertainment. And each topic get doled out Monday through Friday, topic by topic. And on Saturday, all 5 are rolled up into the full episode that you can watch without broken apart, just seamlessly. You can get all of that on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Maelstrom Gamers channel. And if you'd like to support us and also get it a little bit early and have a chance to have your topic on the show, go on to patreon.com/Maelstrom Gamers, and you can give us as little as $1. That's less than a coffee. Everybody gets like a coffee a day, or maybe that like extra third Starbucks coffee that you get. Think about what $1 can do for us in terms of support and ways for us to put back into the show to make it a little bit better, like mics and better video cameras. Having guests come on that we maybe aren't friends with and might cost money. So that's great. But if you don't have money, that's okay too. You can support us for free. And arguably, maybe even more importantly, you can go on our Facebook page. You can go on our Twitter, our Instagram, at Maelstrom Gamers. Follow, like, comment, and subscribe and share. Those are key ways to help support us. Having Yukiko on, she did a really great job of just kind of like sharing everything. Guys, we went up like, I think our followers on Twitter
And
are like up
likes.
to 90, which is awesome. And then we got like 11 or 15 likes on this page since this last week. So lots of cool new people getting to see us and be exposed to us, which is great.
Yeah, I even had people from work just walk up to me and be like, "Hey, so like I watched some of your show thing." I was like, really?
Yeah.
What'd they say though? What'd they say?
No, I was this one guy played soccer with me, and he was just like, "Yeah, that's cool. Like, I've always wanted to do the same thing with my friends." And he's like, I always see him kind of watching similar overlap of games too, like on his screen at work. So he was like, "Oh, you guys stream your games too?" I was like, "Yeah." And afterwards, I was like, "Man, I should have been like, yeah, we're not the best, we're not the worst, but we
we are entertaining.
That's right, because for those who don't know, we also stream our games. We're streaming Uncharted 4. We're streaming League of Legends. We're streaming Smite a lot these days.
Yep.
So if you want to watch us, we're not the best. We're certainly not the worst, but we are.
Oh, we are
Entertaining, dude. Oh, my
come
god.
on, let's all
Come on,
this thing,
yeah,
man. Come
yeah.
on.
Taco, we just say entertaining. We
Just
just
say
say
entertaining.
entertaining.
That's the
Oh,
only one you
damn
have
it.
to
I
say.
wanted to say like all the other stuff.
We have to get more coordinated for that.
Okay, gotcha.
But
La
yeah,
la 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 la.
if you just want to like be a creepo and watch us from far in a corner, that's cool. You can chat with us though on YouTube if you want. That's cool too. Or if you want to hop on the game we're playing, send us an invite. We'll play with you too. We just want to have fun and kind of meet new people and play games. That's kind of what we're about. So let's get started into our first topic. So you guys were like, what the hell is this guy saying? I think he just snorted or did crack or whatever right before because he was talking about lightning and handcuffing and putting thunder in jail and like alligators and stuff.
Geez. No.
It is a quote from the late Muhammad Ali.
Oh.
A lesser known one, I guess, than the butterfly and sting like a bee quote. But he passed away, so I wanted to give a little bit of tribute to him again. But also, he was a great father. And this topic today, this theme of all of our topics, is about fathers because of Father's Day coming up. So if you haven't already, get your father a card at the least. Maybe get him a gift, or just call him and tell him to say that you love him. And the other thing, too, is like, I was talking to Alan about this. You know, a father doesn't have to be blood either. No. Maybe your dad wasn't always there or something, or you don't talk to him, or for whatever reason he's not in your life. But like, whoever that father figure is, that mentor, that has the right to be called a father, just as, or like be celebrated around this day, just as anybody else. So,
Gotcha.
Throw that out there. My topic, again, piggybacking off that, is basically how have fathers changed over the generations? I was reading an article or watching a commercial, I think it was, or maybe there's both, but it was basically like saying like how men have been like treated over the generations, like what have been the standard of men kind of deal. Like it was just like comments that things were said to men that like kind of felt like offensive or like that's kind of shitty, like you throw like a girl, and like before that was like back in my day, or like a real man wouldn't do this, blah blah blah. So I got me thinking about like, okay, well that's cool, we're celebrating Father's Day, and fathers are so much, I feel that they have so many different responsibilities these days. They've really evolved from what they used to be, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit. And just kind of get your guys' thought on what you think, like, how that's changed. What have you noticed has changed compared to your father's generation, your grandfather's generation, maybe even generations before them, and yours, and maybe even the future. I got a couple statistics here that I found interesting. Okay. So there's like top 5 kind of things that have like pretty much changed, just in general.
Can we try to roll off some stuff first?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We don't have to go into this yet. I just wanted to make sure.
See what they actually are.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. maybe the role of the man too as well, like society-wise, like where the guy was having to be the one, you know, because like roles have changed dramatically over the past several hundred years, where women are now working and stuff too as well, where the guy was normally like going out doing a bunch of different stuff. Like I think that it like his fathering, I guess it wasn't so much like fathering as it was just like providing, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that nowadays that role has changed dramatically, where it's allowed for fatherhood to kind of develop and like explore itself and figure out, I guess, like what direction we're going to go in now, because we have a larger role I think we play than just for providing only. So I'd say like kind of like
the dad is like okay to be the stay-at-home dad, essentially, like
like that / like maybe we do
breadwinner or something
kind of thing. Like she's working, I'm working, but when we're not working, we're both doing 50-50 for the family. Okay. And get it going. Where normally it wouldn't have been that at all. It's like even think about like say 200 years ago. It's like women weren't out of the house; they were inside the house doing everything about the house and I mean, that was just it wasn't even an option really. Right. You know, and the guy was out, whether he was a farmer and he was tending to land, or whether he was like something else. He was out just doing that all the time. When he came home, it wasn't like he played dad. It wasn't like, hey, let's go play son outside and let's go hang out. It was like, I'm home. Like, I'm gonna do my thing, and if I'm gonna do anything with the child, it's really just kind of like punishment more than anything, you know. And then go back to doing my daily stuff. So I think that like it's allowed that like a growth to happen within fatherhood, allowed us to play a bigger role than what was the norm, at least, you know, even 100 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a big play in the changes of the
development
of fatherhood, you know, like over the span of time. That's one thing I see.
Yeah. I could dig into that. Alan, did you have anything that you wanted to say on top of that?
No, that's kind of a similar idea that I
What
was
you were
thinking.
thinking?
That yeah,
Yeah.
So
that the role is not really
The
the
same.
breadwinner or like somebody that has to be the one that everybody relies on. I think the transition from being the stay-at-home dad is like totally accepted these days. So if you were
Yeah.
talking to somebody on the street and they're like, "Hey, what do you like? What do you do?" I was like, "Oh yeah, well I just take care of my kids. Like I'm a stay-at-home dad. My wife works or
right.
my partner works, whoever." And I don't think you would get as many. I mean, I'm sure in some areas you probably get some weird looks still. It's a bit of a transition thing,
Yeah.
you know.
It's still in
Um, but I think it's becoming more and more the norm where the gender doesn't determine on like what your role has to be necessarily
But
in
that
the
also
family
plays into
life.
that mentality that Clay was saying about that you being a man or this idea of a man. Like the
Yeah,
idea
yeah,
of a man is like it's changed too. You know what I mean? Like it's
right.
and that plays a part into it all too as well. So like I think I feel like the people that would have judged you or gave you that weird look if you had said that were the ones that their idea of man is totally different than what your idea is, and they're like, you're not you. It's kind of like I guess what we would call like the old school view. The
Yeah.
one was still stuck on that you have to play that certain role. You have to be that certain thing. It's like, but I feel like there's more of a balance happening now in life than there is just like taking the far extremes of one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just to get some like real life statistics on all the right things that you guys were saying, basically, it's dropped from like dual income. The rise in dual income households has only pretty much increased over the years. So
Dinks.
yeah, dinks. That's right. Yeah, that term too, which is a whole
What
other.
is that term?
Go
What
ahead.
is
Alan.
that?
Double income, no kids.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So among
That's pretty nice. That's got to be pretty nice though. Oh gosh.
among married couples with children under the age of 18, dual income households are now the dominant arrangement. So 60% of all households, that's the dominant arrangement. In the 1960s, only 1 in 4 of these households had 2 incomes, which
Wow.
made up 70%. Had a 70% had a father who worked and a mother who was home with the kids. This is as little as
Like
back in the
30%,
60s, right?
Actually, yeah.
So it's really interesting. The public has mixed views about it. This is from a research.org kind of website that I found. Most people, 62% of people that they say that a marriage where the husband and a wife both have jobs and both take care of the house and children is preferable to one where the husband works and the wife takes care of the home and family, which only 30% of people would prefer that. So it's changed, but it also in a lot of people's minds. But Alan's not wrong at all in saying it's just even like maybe if that's what we prefer, it's still even odd to think of the repercussions of that thought, right? Which is to say, then that means economically, financially speaking, a lot of times, if you're going to have dual income households, if you're okay with that, someone's going to have a bigger set of money. So if you do want someone to stay home, it could be the husband, right? So
Yeah.
but like maybe people just don't really think that far, and then when you see it, it could be like just odd or whatever. But yeah.
So I mean, like,
Sorry,
you can
I was just gonna jump in.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that is something that Yukiko and I talk about somewhat often these days is, and this relates a lot to not just this topic, but general human evolution. But we've evolved so quickly, and we have so many like default brain wirings that are left over from like when we had to have these things to survive like as a species, right?
Yeah.
Like the fight or flight type things, and like the males being like the strong providers and everything like that. We've gotten away from that so quickly, even though it's been like thousands of years where this has happened.
Sure,
In
yeah.
like the grand scheme, it's tiny amount of time, right? So even something
That's
as small
true.
as like
Even 100
you have
years.
anxiety and you're like have that fight or flight thing kicks in, like it's not necessary. That's like something left over from when like a saber-toothed tiger's about to kill you.
Yeah.
You don't need that like every single day. So it's really interesting like that people might still have that feeling, like you were saying, oh well, it's kind of weird for the man to not be doing this.
Yeah, just subconsciously.
Because it's just like left over. Even I see sometimes family members that they fall into this default gender role in the home life, like, and it just feels a bit weird when it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah,
You're kind
exactly.
of putting it yourself. You're like pigeonholing yourself into this role when I think society in general is allowing you to kind of mold it a little bit different these days.
Yeah.
Are there some things like you hit a chord with me when you said like gender roles? Like, so we're talking about finances, and that's an easy one because I feel like that is the biggest represented task on TV, or was on TV for a while, which was the man came home, the mom's dealing with the kids,
Yeah.
right? But there's other things. There's like little things that I'm curious what your household would have been and what your thoughts on. But like grocery shopping and cleaning the house and stuff like that. Like, how do you feel that those tasks are played in terms of gender roles of the household and
In
your
my
reaction
house?
from your like relatives and family when you say you do things like that?
Yeah, I mean, they're always like, they're not. I wouldn't say shocked, but they're like, "Oh, that's great! Like, you guys both share, the duties around the house. You guys both cook. That's so interesting." Like,
Yeah, yes,
and
that's a
I'm
great
just
one.
like,
Cooking.
and I'm just like, yeah. Well, I mean, it's fair. It's 50-50. So I don't know
Yeah.
why. We're
Yeah.
both capable human beings.
It's so
Yeah.
funny.
It doesn't seem that weird to me, but it's
Right.
definitely, I mean, just seeing what my parents were like, it's definitely different
Right.
than what they
See,
were
that's
like
I was gonna say
growing,
like
raising us even.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I play that role a lot. Like I actually was kind of like not really a stay-at-home dad, but still kind of was like for LJ when he was first born. So she was going to school and doing different things, and it was like I was able to work just for 3 months out of the year. Was able to make enough money to be able to sustain myself for the next 9 months of the year. So I was able to spend time just being a stay-at-home dad, and I still to this day do like a lot of the shopping. And when it comes to the cleaning, we do a lot of like 50-50. Like there's certain things that she does, there's certain things that I do. Like vacuuming the living room, something that I always do, cleaning the dishes. I tend to do that one more often, but as of late, it's kind of like more shared than anything. But she does her own things too, like the laundry and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's been a role. It's changed dramatically where it's not just like something like, you know, especially because we also live in a dual income home. It's like I don't expect that if I was to come home from work that like, and she
a
comes home
meal
from
is ready
work
on the,
too,
yeah.
like that, like
Baby,
you're
where's my
still gonna have
steak?
yeah, and you're gonna have the house clean and the kids taken care of and all this different stuff too. It's like, or she just worked just as much in her life too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's
Right.
no reason to sit there and try to, expect that kind of thing out.
And
So I
that's
think
when you're like, yo, Domino's, Domino's.
that
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like, all right, this is an easy one out right now. We gotta just get some pizza.
It's so fun to go watch an episode of Mad Men, especially the early episodes, and
Oh,
like
I
they have
know.
moments like that where they're all like at the works house, and then he like gets a call from his wife Trudy, and because they were just married, he's like, "Oh yeah, steak and wine with a side salad, please." He's
Yeah.
like, "My wife's cooking me steak tonight," like
I know,
really just
yeah.
like crazy. So
It's totally different world.
But
yeah,
I
oh
think
my
that's
god, right?
like
Yeah,
molded in
But it's
it's like
40 years ago. It's like 50 years ago.
yeah,
That's what's so crazy. It's a
that
lifetime. It's somebody's lifetime
that's
ago.
true.
that really help that dual income is what really like I think like molds a lot and changes a lot. At least if you're like hopefully like a moral and a good person, and a fair person, you wouldn't just still put that on all those the other individual, your other partner, and not see it for what it is like that you're
I
both
think
putting in an equal amount of time.
I think some people take advantage of that transition that's been going on. Not just transition, but like that thing that's a bit ingrained in our society is like, well, if I can make my wife just do this stuff for me and she'll like
Some
acquiesce to what I'm saying, then that makes my life so easy, then.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But I feel like there's some element of I
And
don't
I've been
know
guilty of that
pride
too
or
though,
something. Just
Alan.
like you like ditch you're just like giving over control at the same time. Not control. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it's a kind of I don't know.
He-
You're,
So
you're not
responsibility.
say,
taking any actions for yourself, really. You're not like shaping what you want to be happening yourself or like as a team. It's just like, yeah, do this stuff for me.
I've been guilty of that too, though. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like it's like kind of that sub ingrained thing, or even whatever. I don't know what you would call it, but like when I came back from Kentucky recently, I like let her do a majority of the like household things, like taking care of the kids to like taking care of the house and doing different things. And I don't know why I was like doing that and wasn't being more fair, whether it was just like tired and exhausted, or it was like transitioning back from, just doing the whole work, and then transitioning back into the family like environment and the dad role. I don't know what it was, but I just kind of like took the back seat, you know what I mean? And like
when you first came back.
Yeah, when I first came back for that week. So it was kind of like letting her just like, I don't know what it was, like I was saying, a subconscious thing or whatever it was, just like you kind of just do everything in the house. I'm back home. I'm done with work today. Like I just don't want to do this.
Yeah, I mean
I don't know why that occurred. You know what I mean?
It might be partially evolutionary thing, and the way society has like shaped it too. Like some of it's evolution, and then I think some of it has been the way society shaped it, which it's hard to judge where that line it separates, like what is biologically there, and then what has been
like a nurture thing.
Yeah, what has been like created by the society's way it's set up.
And like we were just saying, the generation before us, I mean, it's easy to fall back into thinking the roles are the way the roles are because you've lived and watched other people fill those roles and do those things. So it's if you're not careful, your brain will automatically be like, yeah, this feels right. I'm gonna come home from work and let her do the things that she does because that's what I'm used to. But like you have to constantly kind of check yourself, and it's really interesting to see how our kids will evolve and look at us in terms of what our habits were. But to talk more about the gaps in the father and mother role responsibilities between 1965 and 2011, there's some interesting statistics in measurement in hours. So childcare in hours that the father and mother have spent taking care of. In 1965, the mother spent 10 hours a day focused on childcare, where the father spent 2.5. Makes kind of sense. You come home at like 6, kids are only around for a little bit, and then you tuck them to bed. Now, mothers, they're about 14%, so that's actually increased. Fathers at 7%. Which is also increased, but there's still a bit of a gap there, more than double, right? Yeah. In terms of household work, which is what we were just talking about, fathers spent 4 hours. Did I say percent before? I meant hours.
Yeah.
Sorry. 4 hours back in 1965, where women spent 32 hours.
Wow.
Okay. This is per week. I'm sorry. Okay. This is not per day. This is per week. So, wow, a week in 1965.
5 hours in a week?
Housework was 4 hours a week.
4 hours. All it's like for a week.
Just for a week, 4 hours. Whereas women
32.
32. Now
job.
Women spend and there's another. So it's not only fathers helping in on the roles, but there's another thing that I'm going to get to in a minute as to why these things change. But mothers are now they go from 32 to 18. Hours per week, whereas fathers go from 4 to 10. And then we do paid work. This is interesting. Women spent 8 hours a week on paid work, whereas fathers 42, right? This is exactly what we're talking about. Now mothers are doing 21 hours a week on paid work, whereas fathers doing 37. So you can see why the household has shrunk so much. Yeah. And even while like childcare hasn't been able to grow that much, is because paid work has just skyrocketed on both roles, which leads to another phenomenon as to why we're evolving and adapting. It's not only to question cultural and societal like kind of cookie cutter kind of like roles like Alan you were describing, but also because work-life balance is so challenging now when dual incomes have pretty much trajected us into a whole nother pay scale, and this keeping up with the Joneses requires people to do that. So now, like, where the hell the kids fall in? Because both parents are full-time working and trying to keep up and pay rent. Like, now what do we do?
That's a good question. Like I'm wondering, what do you guys do, Rocco, when you transitioned from your kids transitioned from the infant stage to 2 years old when they can't go to school, but then you guys are working.
That was like, so I was really thankful and grateful that I was able to do what I was doing at the time when LJ was that age, where I could do the whole taking care of him for the 9 months outside of the period.
Oh, okay.
Now that's changed dramatically. So right now it's just like we are relying heavily on family. Like we have a heavy family unit around that. We've had a lot of like I don't know, a lot of love and great, and thankfulness to them. But it's like my mother, her mother, my brother-in-law. Like we have a kind of like a unit that we can rely on, which has helped us big time. Otherwise, I feel like we would have been childcare is like crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
Where it's like almost to the point where it's like
it's a mortgage.
she just needs to not even work,
Yeah.
and to just stay at home, and I'll just go grind real hard, and she can do something little here and there, just because
Or
the child.
the other way around.
Or the other way around, honestly, or the other way around. Like either way, I just think though that whenever like people are thinking that thing, I'm just thinking nothing against the guy and girl thing. It's just I think I have the potential to do a lot, make a lot more, and I'll have a cap like she has.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why that I would keep going, because that can increase our family income as a whole.
Yeah.
Where if it was the other way around, I'd say then you do it.
Yeah.
And I'll take care of the family, and I'll do 32 hours of household work around
But
the
it's-
house, take care of the kids, and be involved on a daily basis.
You made it look really easy of a decision, but there's a lot that goes into that. Like especially
No, there's a
with
bit.
career,
No, it is. There's a lot.
You know what I mean? Because like you don't want to go out of your career for too long, and so that could be a really tough decision to be like, okay, it makes sense financially for you, but dang it, like if I'm out of my career, it's gonna be really hard for me to come back in. And
Jump
I'm not
back in
gonna
like a year and a half, 2 years later or something.
who knows how long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, man. It's really difficult. Like, people are always like, "Oh, you get to stay home with the kids." Like, that's great. That's awesome if that's what you're into and it works for you. But like, if you're kind of not forced, but you're taking that role on because it makes the most sense for your family, you might not be the most excited to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the one thing I'm excited
hear.
about though is right now, and I think I do agree on him in that 30% bracket you were talking about, is that I would love for Karina to be a stay-at-home mom. And to be able to do that, especially because we're thinking about having a third coming around the corner, and then possibly a potential fourth. I would love for her to be able to do that one. You know what I mean?
So
And
many
just
kids,
like
man.
provide for the entire family, and then she has to do. I mean, because that's like you were saying, 32 hours is just household work, not let alone taking care of the kids and what they had to put into that too as well. It's like
you'll have LJ though. He'll be
requires a
kind
lot.
of older. I'm sure he'll help.
He's already helping and assisting a lot too right now. They're playing a lot, which is why I like the idea of the multiple children too, because it helps the parents dramatically, like with the amount of time and like supervision that you have to give, which allows you to free you up just a little bit more.
That's awesome.
Having that spouse does create that.
Yeah.
Hey, Clay, I think
Like you were saying, all the
dying.
different factors. Mine.
Mine?
Clay, somebody's is because everybody, Clay's turning into like blurry picture, and Rocco, I can barely understand now because his audio is like all crackly.
Your audio is all crackly.
Yeah,
Talk about my audio.
Rocco sounds okay for me. I keep stuttering. Yeah, I'm having a.
maybe it's my internet.
It's all good. Real quick, I was just gonna kind of wrap up here a little bit. The other last two statistics say that fathers and mothers spend more time with their kids than their parents spend. The majority of people polled these days feel that they spend a little bit more time on both sides than their fathers and mothers did when they were kids. And that could be a thing where I think back in the day you had it was much more common to see families of 5. And that's crazy hard to give one kid the individual attention that they need. I mean, you're talking, let's see, 5 kids. You can only have a kid it's really supposed to be every 2 years. That's 10 years then of the last kid being born, and then up that by an extra 3 years of just until they get a little bit more independent. So that's 13 years of spending your time juggling kids. Like, then at that point, you're pretty like spent and you want to like relax. So I'm not surprised why people of the older generation didn't really like have a lot of time or motivation to necessarily work with one kid at a time. Like, that's just hard. That's just really hard to do.
Yeah.
That's when everybody gets like plastic surgery when they're like 50 years old, and they're like, God, what has happened to my body?
Yeah. And then lastly, just to kind of bring around full circle, more fathers are staying at home to care for kids. 7% of U.S. fathers with children in their household do not work outside the home. That's roughly 2 million dads are stay-at-home dads. Although stay-at-home dads represent only a small fraction of the fathers, their share is up from 4% in 1989. So it is increasing. And like, there's an interesting statistic as to percentage of stay-at-home fathers who say they aren't working because they are, and then they show you how many people. So in 2012, it's ill or disabled. It's 35%. It's down by 56% from 1989. Can't find work. That's 23%. It's up from 15%. This is interesting because it's also talking about how economies changed from the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
Caring for families up from 5% to 21%. And then in school, it's around the same. Retired is around the same, and others are around the same. So disabled's gone down. Can't find work has gone up. But the biggest gap is caring for the family.
Yeah. That makes
Really
sense.
interesting stuff.
it seems like a weird thing to have like wanted to step outside of before too, you know? Like why would you not want to be around your kids while they're growing up and like shaping their lives and all that
That's what
kind of
I.
stuff?
That's what I don't understand. I mean, there's perspectives that I just don't get, and that's one of those perspectives I just don't really get. I mean, I could like,
I know,
I
I
could get
kind of
it in a
understand
certain
that.
sense,
Like,
but not like in the sense of for me,
but
not
think
for
about
me.
think
you know?
about okay, so our generation pretty much was like the kids of the Mad Men generation, right? Our grandfathers were a large part around that Mad Men generation, maybe a little bit older,
Yeah.
right? Their fathers, I mean, it was like a boss employee relationship. In a lot of ways, at least that's how it's portrayed to me, in that you got up and you worked with the guy and you didn't really have a close relationship in the sense that like it was like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then you go a step further and like that's what you know. So that generation has kind of that same like, let the mom take care of the kids, I'm gonna go out and work. And then from there, like it starts to blend a little bit more because it takes time. It takes time to get away from that like boss employee relationship over the generations, because that's all that you knew, but you want to change it a little bit. And I think we're finally starting to get out of that, where our emotions and our feelings and the way that we provide and care for a kid is much more acceptable and allowed to like kind of come forward than it was in the past, you know?
I mean, thinking about it now, I think we're not giving them a whole lot of credit either, because maybe like 100 years ago, like 19th century or something, you had to train your son to follow in your footsteps to do like your work, because if you wanted your family to keep on having like a profitable or like successful life, even after you were gone, you had to make sure that they were trained in these skill sets. So like they would shadow you, like basically, that you would do what your dad did, and that's why he would be your boss as you're growing up, right?
He has to be.
It's like
right?
you had to like kind of prepare your son, daughter,
You,
whatever.
your guys'
to be
audio
able
is
to do
all
that.
broken up for me. I don't know if it is for you guys, but
Yeah, you guys sound the same for me
I
as
think
well.
I think we should probably maybe tie this one up and then reset the call.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, you make a really good point, Alan. Yeah, I didn't think about that. But okay, we're gonna take a short break and then we will come back with Steve.
Steve, the bad boy.
The bad boy. And hospitalized a brick. Boy, I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. I'll get to that and why that's important in a minute.
I'm gonna start making up my own. That's like that to be. Hold on, Clay. No, this is my turn.
I'm not. Look, this will all make sense in a minute. Clayton Kisko. I totally screwed up, but Clayton Kisko. I'm accompanied, of course, by the rest of the Maelstrom gamers.
That's
With us
right.
on this podcast today, we have the A Train, Mr. T House, Alan Turner.
House. Third eye. That was a third eye symbol. That was like Illuminati shit.
Illuminati.
Illuminati.
From
Very
me to
cool.
you.
Next up, we have a man who's too hot to freeze and too cool to melt. The heartthrob, Rocco
The
Avellino.
guy that like wrestles gorillas and rides dragons and drinks
you
at
were gonna say
10:30 in the
giraffes.
morning. The most amazing man in the world.
Yeah. Likes on this page since this last week. So lots of cool, new people getting to see us and be exposed to us, which is great.
Yeah, I even had people from work just walk up to me and be like, "Hey, so like I watched some of your like show thing." I was like, really?
Yeah.
What'd they say though? What'd they say?
No, I mean, I was this one guy played soccer with me, and he was just like, "Yeah, that's cool. Like, I've always wanted to do the same thing with my friends." And he's like, I always see him kind of watching similar overlap of games too, like on his screen at work. So he was like, "Oh, you guys stream your games too?" I was like, "Yeah." And afterwards, I was like, "Man, I should have been like, yeah, we're not the best, we're not the worst, but we
we are entertaining.
That's right, because for those who don't know, we also stream our games. We're streaming Uncharted 4. We're streaming League of Legends. We're streaming Smite a lot these days. So if you want to watch us, we're not the best. We're certainly not the worst. A bit early and have a chance to have your topic on the show. Go on to patreon.com/maelstromgamers, and you can give us as little as $1. That's less than a coffee. Everybody gets like a coffee a day, or maybe that like extra third Starbucks coffee that you get. Think about what $1 can do for us in terms of support and ways for us to put back into the show to make it a little bit better, like mics and better video cameras. having guests come on that we maybe aren't friends with and might cost money. So that's great. But if you don't have money, that's okay too. You can support us for free. And arguably, maybe even more importantly, you can go on our Facebook page. You can go on our Twitter, our Instagram, at Maelstrom Gamers. Follow, like, comment, and subscribe and share. Those are key ways to help support us. Having Yukiko on, she did a really great job of just kind of like sharing everything. Guys, we went up like, I think our followers on Twitter
and
are like
likes.
up to 90, which is awesome. And then we got like 11 or 15.
The Gucci twist. You don't know
The
about
Gucci
these?
twist?
Yeah, these are the Gucci twist. These are $500 glasses right here.
No, they're
just
not.
The frames.
No, they're
Just
like
the
$10.
frames.
Take your
lenses?
glasses off. Let me see your nose. Show us your nose. Yeah, it looks terrible.
Show us your nose.
Look at that.
Those are imprints of the gods.
No.
The
What?
gods.
What?
This is real. It was one of the Roman Greek gods.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, welcome to the Everything and Nothing Show. I'm just one of your hostess with the mostest, a man who's wrestled alligators, who's tussled with whales, who's handcuffed lightning and put thunder in jail.
Can't be
Just
true.
last week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone.
Rocco Evelino.
Hey, viewers, it's a Bud Light Lime though. So.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because I'm
shame him
prepping for the tropical-
uncontrollably.
Weekend I'm about to have.
Dude, that Bud Light Lime tastes.
Bud Light Lime.
It tastes
dude.
like Apple Jacks. It's so nasty.
You guys,
It's bad.
don't hate on my drinks.
We're gonna have the bad boy on in just a second. I'll introduce him there when he gets here. But for those of you just joining us for the very first time, or maybe you have forgotten, the format of the show is very simple. Us Maelstrom Gamers, we hop on a Skype every week. We each bring a topic. There's 5 total for our discussion, but more importantly, for your entertainment. And each topic get doled out Monday through Friday, topic by topic. And on Saturday, all 5 are rolled up into the full episode that you can watch without broken apart, just seamlessly. You can get all of that on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Maelstrom Gamers channel. And if you'd like to support us and also get it a little